Over to you then, Jamie.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Nice to be invited back after my first appearance. It was well received, I think. Everybody had a good time. It was really nice. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to be back on to catch any live shows since. Work has been absolutely horrendous. Any days, any Thursdays, it's kind of been lined up that I've had off. I've been back at work either on overtime or for a little bit of extra duty stuff. So it's been hectic. And in my line of work, we don't get off through Christmas. So we work all the year long. But I was able to secure a bit of time to come in tonight or this afternoon here where I am and see what you guys think of a couple of patterns. I've got a wide range of patterns to tie. A couple of patterns that were created by some local fly tyers, and a couple that are a lot less popular but starting to catch on here locally. So what I'll do, I'll try and show them to my camera first and let you guys take a look. So this first one I'm going to tie, Newfoundland is known for colorful people and for colorful names of places. This particular fly here, it's a variation of a green machine, and it was created by a man named Lorne Watton here locally from a community called Come By Chance. And it's a very effective fly for sea trout, for Atlantic salmon, tied on a variety of different hooks. I like them on wider gate hooks and heavier wire. It's typically fished wet and swung like a regular salmon wet fly would be here. Some guys like tying them on a streamer hook that gives them a little more length in the body. I like them on, this one here is on a Partridge G3A, heavier wire scrote hook. But I'm going to tie it tonight on a barbless version of that hook. It's a Partridge G3A-LY. It's essentially it's the same hook, but it's got a really nice black nickel finish, and it's barbless. Here locally for Atlantic salmon, we have the fish barbless, non-weighted, so you can't have any weight on your line or weight on your fly. Like you can't fish anything with a bead head or with like a brass head, anything like that. So we'll get started on this one. It's a very, very simple, very, very quick tie, but it's one that we'll have in our kits for sure, and in a variety of sizes.
Are you on a different camera now, Jamie?
I'm using, so there's two cameras.
It's a blurred, the one you're on now. The other one was perfect.
Is it blurry?
Yeah.
What if I'm...
The one on your device is fine, Jamie. It's the one that's just got you a little blurry. But the one with
oh, okay. All right. Well, pin the one that's showing the device there, guys. That one, that should be a little better camera.
Yeah, I've pinned that one.
Okay.
Yeah, got it. Cheers, thank you.
If everybody goes to Jamie's picture, the one with the vice in the frame, go to the top right and click on the three little dots and pin it. It'll keep Jamie in the center of the screen.
Perfect. So for the tag for this fly, it's just regular uni-mylar, gold on one side, silver on the other. And we use the gold side for the tag on that one. Again, on this fly, there's only a handful of material, so it's a fairly quick production on this one. For the butt, I like using, oh, here we go, uni stretch in as like a hot green color. Chartreuse is another popular color for the tag end of this fly. Some people will use red, pink has been used. Most commonly though, chartreuse or green. So just a couple of whips to get that on. And when I'm tying these, I like to tie the mylar forward. So when I'm wrapping the butt color back down over, it's wrapped down over something that's shiny underneath rather than the black thread. If you're using lighter colors for the butt, the black thread can sometimes it'll show through when the fly is wet. So I like to have something shiny underneath. So there we go. That's the butt section.
Is that shear thread you're using, Jamie?
It is. It's fantastic. I stumbled upon it early this year. And for small flies and for pretty well most of my wet flies, when I'm finishing the head, I'll use the shear.
Yeah.
It's very strong, and it doesn't cut soft hair. I have used some stuff in the past, and like I tie a lot of calf tail wings and deer and stuff like that. And if you use something that's really almost too strong, it can cut the soft fibers. But this stuff, I find it's nice and strong, and it's the diameter being small. It certainly helps keep the bulk down on the head of the fly.
Well, it's only 14.0, isn't it?
It's 14.0, yeah.
Yeah.
Most tires here, I mean, the standard size for thread here is probably 8/0. You know, if you sit down with 10 tires, I would say 7 or 8 of them are all using 8/0 uni or something similar. UTC is another pretty popular one here in 70, and I use it in 140 denier for spinning deer here. I'll show you that on the next fly. So for the body of this fly, just Kelly green or green Hollander colored unifloss. Snip off whatever we figure we need for the body. And I'm in full production mode now for commercial, so I'll try and tie a little slower. It's hard to get out of the groove. I think I was saying on my last session, I'm pre-booked for delivery of 6,500 flies in May, between a group of local customers from lodges. There's a local shop here, Atlantic Rivers. I tie for those guys, and I was at the Vice for a couple of hours today tying some flies, so I'm in production speed, but I'll try and slow it down for you. So one pass back and forth on the body for that. You don't want a bulky body. A nice slender body on these is definitely preferred. And then for the body hackle, you can either use furnace hackle is really nice on it. This one is a fiery brown. Try and find one now that is not too big. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to whip this one off the shear, and I'm going to tie in the UTC 70, but in a green that kind of matches the body color, and I'll show you why. So some people that tie this particular fly, and even for bombers, anything that there's a body hackle on, they'll tie it in between the butt section and the body section. I like tying hackle in afterwards, and then wrapping it backwards, and it's palmered in a direction that kind of points back towards the end of the fly. The beauty of doing that is you get to reinforce it, and you get less wind resistance when you're casting these, when the hackle is palmered towards the back. So put a couple of wraps here. So just 5 or 6 wraps down over the body is lots. One to finish off. And now I'll chase that hackle with the thread, and then that'll reinforce it then. And if a fish clamps down on that, even if it breaks the stem somewhere in the body, the hackle won't unwind. And then when you're going back up the fly, I'll just wiggle the thread just so it kind of pokes its way through the fibers. Top that off. And then just a quick little whip finish on that. And you can finish it off just the way it is. I like to put the black back on just to cover up the green on the head of the fly. There we have it.
Nice and simple.
It's a very, very simple pattern, extremely simple pattern, but it is ultra effective. This is a little larger size. This one is on a size 6. In my kit, I'll have them in size 6 up to size 12, depending on water conditions, but they're just a super effective fly. Sea trout love them. Atlantic salmon very readily take a snap at it. And you go to any river on the province or in the province, and somebody has got, they're going to have these in their fly box. I can be certain of it. So that's that one. So that is a tried and true Newfoundland pattern. This next one that I'm going to tie is another Newfoundland pattern. Very, very, even more simple than the previous. It's only 2 materials. So it's called the Paddy Francis. And it was created, they didn't put a lot of time thinking up the name. It's named after the guy who tied it, Paddy Francis. And I believe the story on it is, it's got something to do with a mix-up when he was trying to tie a bomber style fly. And this is what became of it. Green is a very popular color here. Green but blue charms. That Come By Chance Green Machine was green. It's a very very productive color pattern here. But you'll see these tied in green, purple, chartreuse, blue, natural colors. Some fellas will tie them with like an attractor color on the butt of either spun deer here or Chanel. Split wing, but not split wing like a butterfly. Split wing, so like if you were to look at the side of the fly, like looking down on it, the wing is kind of straight up and down the body. A split wing variety, the wing will come down the sides of, like almost parallel with the body. And a friend of mine tied a variation. He combined the Paddy Francis with a Casa boom, and he put a collar on it. And this particular color body with a yellow collar is very, very effective. So this is the next one I'm tied, Paddy Francis. So the hook I like using for this one, it's another partridge product. It's a barbless version of the D4AF, the D4ALY. and again in different size ranges. I'm going to tie in a size 6, so we'll tie these and carry them in our kits from size 6 right down to size 10 and size 12. So put that in. So I'll start off with the shear thread or something of small diameter, just to tie in the tail. And for the tail, it's just it's a white calf tail. You can use kid goat. You can use moose if you desire, but the standard recipe calls for calf tail. Some people like straggly calf tail. I like the stuff that's got a little more. The fibers are a little more, or sorry, the hair is a little more straight. So we get a little pinch of that. And with calf tail, it doesn't really have under fur, but it's got a couple of different lengths of fur. So you can get 2 flies out of 1 pinch, really. So I'll stick that aside because I'll use that later. You don't have to stack it, but I'll give that a little tap and a stack. And pick out any of these little wild ones that are off to the side there. I don't like to have a really long tail on these. I have had fish come short after these, so I try and keep the tails a little shorter. That looks good. And you don't need to be particular tying this in. We're going to cover all this up. All right. So now I'm going to whip finish that, and I'm going to switch to a heavier thread. Keep that close by. So for spinning, I like the UTC 140 for spinning. It's nice and strong. And we'll go right back to the junction of the tail there. And for the body, either deer belly or deer body. Well, here we go. For production wise, commercial purposes, I get more bang for the buck when I buy the bigger strips. The only thing with these is you can only get them in primarily darker colors. So if you want like a brighter, more vivid color, like pinks or yellows, you need to go to a deer body, and that would be dyed over white. So this is a deer belly. This is a deer body patch that's been dyed forest green. And I'll use these here as well for muddlers instead of buying the smaller patch. Again, it's just because I tie so many of them. So we'll take a little pinch of the deer here, nothing too much to start off because you don't want to push the hair back over the tail. So the same as when I was tying my bombers, 1 loose wrap, second one just to kind of get the hair to flare a little bit. Give it a little snip, quick pull, and that spins nice and easy around the hook. And I'm not gonna pack this in as tight as I would if I was tying a bomber, because we're gonna fish these wet, and we don't want them to float as soon as, like, when they start to swing. We want them to be either just at the surface or just subsurface. So we don't want them to be too packed in too tightly. And then the second clump that I'm going to tie in, just a little more hair. and we'll keep building this up forward. When I was over in Scotland a few years ago, I took my kit with me, and I was fishing with Colin McFadden for a day on the River Tay, and Colin took a look through my box and he seen these things, and it's certainly something that was foreign to the waters over there. I had to give it a try, and I didn't hook anything. Didn't hook any fish at all in the day that I was there. Seen a couple of real big fish, but unfortunately didn't have any action. Fishing was pretty slow up until a couple of weeks after I left, which is oftentimes the case when I go to new water. But it was nice to say that I tried one of our locally made patterns on a very prestigious river. So that's enough deer here. Put on that now. So what I'm going to do, you want to leave enough room forward of the deer here to tie in the wing of the fly. So I'm going to whip finish the one there now, and we'll start to, we'll trim the body down. I'm going to switch out my scissors there, turn around my wastebasket so my wife doesn't kill me with deer hair, or for having deer hair on the floor. So I'll puff that up a little bit just to kind of get the hair to stand up straight. And you haven't got to be real particular with how you're trimming these down. So I'll just work my way up. This is very rudimentary all the way around, just to kind of get the hair off. And now I'll come in behind, and any that kind of flared off around the back there, snip these off. I'm being really careful with these scissors because they don't make these scissors anymore. And if I clamp down on the shank of the hook, you guys are going to see me cry. These are we don't need that today. Nobody needs to see a big man cry like that. So that's the rough shape. Again, these fish really well, and you don't need to be picky with them, but I like to have the same as with the Come By Chance green machine. I like to have the body trimmed nice and tight, nice and slender on these. So now I'll work my way all the way around, being careful not to catch the eye with the blades of the scissors. You don't want to go too close, because with the spun deer here, and the heavier thread, it can kind of get built up in the body a little bit. And if you trim too close, not only will you see the thread that you use to spin the deer hair, but you can cut it. And then if you cut it, you need to take out your razor blade and start over, because the rest of the hair then it'll all come off the hook. So that's a pretty good shape there. Tidy up around the head there. Now I'm going to go back to the shear thread. Move that out of the way.
If anybody's got any questions, feel free to ask Jamie.
Yeah, fire away. And then
You seem to have quite a unique way of tying your deer hair in, and
yeah,
cutting off the waist that you're holding. I don't do much deer hair work, but I'm sure I cut off the bit on the right hand side You seem
Oh,
to be,
okay, yeah.
but your way seems far neater and far better, far quicker.
It's a little neater. Depending on the length of the hair, you can actually you can get more than one wrap out of a clump. Like this stuff here is about, I don't know, it's not quite 2 inches, but it's probably 1 3/4 inches. But it's this particular patch that's really tapered. So the top part up here wouldn't spin very well. But with some of the deer belly, you can get deer belly that's often, you know, might be 2 inches or 2 1/4 inches in length. And out of that one clump, you might get 2 segments of the body. You just give a little snip on the end just to square it off. So when you tie it on, when you first spin it, it spins nice and neat. And then you give it a quick snip, and then there's oftentimes enough there that you can move forward with it. From a commercial perspective, I mean, the price of everything has gone bananas here lately. Thread, lettuce, turnip, everything, gas has gone crazy. So the more you can stretch your stuff along, the better it is. I don't typically get 2 wraps though out of the deer body parts. And for the wing, I often put I always put a little dab of either super glue or Zap-A-Gap under the wing just to secure it. Little dab there. And we'll give that a little stack. And the length of the wing on these, it's all tire preference. Like some fellows will tie them real short. Some fellows will have the wing and the tail line up. Some will go beyond. It's all tire preference. These flies, it's just one of those that they just seem to work, and they work in all kinds of conditions. And with different materials for the body as well. I've tied these with Antron for the body. I've tied them with Chanel. I've tied them with uni yarn for the body. And they all work. The deer hair body is by far the most common, and it's if one of my customers asks for a Paddy Francis fly, 9.5 times out of 10 they'll want it tied with spun deer body. So there we go. There's your Paddy Francis. And then, oh, I forgot to put head cement on them. And we'll just finish this off with a couple of coats of cement. You can use UV if you want, but head cement certainly works well enough. And I'll use I got 2 kinds of cement. One that I haven't left the cap of the bottle off. That's very very thin, and it'll seep into the thread nice and deep. And then the second, I essentially just left the cap off the bottle for a while for it to get a little more thick. And there we go. Here's your Paddy Francis. Again, a very, very simple pattern. It certainly doesn't show off the capabilities of a tire, but it certainly makes up for its looks in its fish catching abilities.
Very good.
All right. Any questions on that one?
No, that was neat.
All right. What are we going to do next? I'll do a leech next. So this is a pattern that I stumbled across last year. I had a customer ask for some leech patterns, and I was just going to tie like a woolly bugger style, and he said no, he wanted something a little different. So I sent him the photo of a pattern, and I don't have one here finished, and I meant to finish one. I think it's called Landon Mayer's Mini Leach. Again, another relatively simple pattern. Just a couple of materials, but very, very fishy. And I'm tying this one on. This is a K4A. It's a buzzer hook, but it's nice and strong. There is a little bend in the body, and I take the bend out of it. There we go. Again, with this one, there's only a couple of materials for the pattern, but it's an absolute fantastic fly for brown trout and brook trout. I've used it here locally for both, and in differing sizes, different colors for the body. The standard color is copper, but I've used silver, I've used green, and they're all fish catchers. I find that our local brown trout are just they're so voracious, they'd almost bite your hand if you put your hand in the water. So I'm back beyond the hook point here at my thread, so I'm almost back to where the barb would end. And you could use wire for this. You could use like a Swan and Days material. You could use whatever you want. I like using the mylar because it stays nice and tight to the hook, and it's durable enough that the fish don't tear it up too bad. You can weight the fly as well. For trout here, we are allowed to use weight for trout, so long as it's not in a salmon river.
Got a size 6 as well, Jamie?
That is a size 6. Yeah, it's larger than what I would tie. If I was going out fishing tomorrow, I would probably take a size 10. Just for ease of you guys seeing what I'm doing, I'm tying them a little larger, but size 8 wouldn't be too bad in this particular hook. Size 10 would be my go-to for these. And for the tail, this is a squirrel zonker, but it's got really short fine hair. I've got some other stuff that I use for different zonk flies, but the hair is a hell of a lot longer. So I find that this nice short stuff tends to do the trick there. And you don't need a big piece. About twice the length of the hook is all you need there. So out of one of these squirrel patches, there's dozens and dozens of this particular fly that you could manage to get out of it. Pick a little bit off there in the front just to give me something to tie in with. And I'm going to put a little dab of glue there as well, just to make it extra durable. I'll catch that in. Give a little snip.
Do you get tail wrapping with that, Jamie?
Pardon me?
Do you get tail wrapping with that?
No. So that's going to be right over top of the body. So that'll kind of, when that's wet, that'll stream back behind the fly nice like that.
Oh, super.
And then the finishing touch on this one is just a bit of ostrich hurl. You could use black hackle or whatever color hackle that kind of match what you were going for. Peacock looks nice on it. I find the peacock hurl is a little delicate. You don't get too many fish out of the peacock, just because it's so prone to snap. the ostrich is more durable. And I mean, the ostrich, similar to like a regular rooster hackle, it's got a taper to it. So you want the ostrich to palmer towards the back of the fly. So we're just gonna fill up the head there with the ostrich, tie that off, snap. And this, the other nice thing about this sheer thread, it's the diameter is small enough that, I mean, there's a couple of ways that I could have tied the ostrich in. I could have wound it around the thread, but I'll just run the small diameter thread down through it, and it does not affect the way that palmer is there at all. And there we go. So that is Landon Mayer's mini leech.
Good, I like that.
Oh, it's a beautiful pattern. And like I say, I've tied it with, this was a natural squirrel zonker. I've used black. I've used almost like a grizzled kind of color, like a gray color, and they all work really, really, really well. Very fun to tie, nice and easy. I've done lessons with a couple of local kids here, and this is one that, just to get them used to putting some material on the hook, I'll often start them with this, and then they're almost guaranteed that if they put this in the water, that they're going to get something snap at it. So they're pretty excited when they get some action on something that they've tied.
Tell you what, Jamie, you're on form. I blinked and nearly missed that.
And I even tried to slow down. I apologize.
Don't apologize. You're fantastic.
All right. What else have we got here? I'll try a stimulator. There's another pattern that I don't tie enough of to be real proficient at them. But it's, I mean, obviously I got the hooks in packs of 1,000s or packs of 500, so I'm doing enough of them and putting enough of them out the door that they are used here. Buddy of mine, he was going to sign in. I don't know if he got signed in or not. Chris Wessel is another phenomenal fly tire here. Chris tied these last year, maybe the year before, with a deer spawn body, and I don't know if he's fished them yet, but they certainly look pretty fishy.
Chris hasn't joined us.
Oh, okay. I know he's working today. We say it's still relatively early here. It's just after 4 o'clock here, so I know he was working. So I'm going to use a K12 ST for this one. There is a bunch of like TMC makes a real nice hook for these as well. This is probably the hook that I go to most for this particular fly here. And again, it's a larger size, just so you can see what I'm doing. This is again a size 6. For fishing, I would say I would be using these in size 8 up to probably a 14. All right. So again, similar to the deer body, I'll buy the elk in large pieces as well. I'll probably go through maybe 2 of these a tying season for different patterns. So buying them in the bigger pieces, it certainly suits me better. And I don't find that there's a big sacrifice in quality. Oftentimes you buy stuff in bulk, you're getting whatever you get. You don't get an opportunity to pick through it. But outside of there being a lot of underfur on it, the quality of the hair is quite good. So we'll get that on there. And I don't like a real long tail on these either.
How much does that strip cost you, Jamie?
What's that?
How much does that strip cost you?
I think that strip was somewhere around $12 Canadian.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, so it's not expensive. When you look at, you know, and I guess that's 14 inches. You know, a piece at the shop in a smaller package would be like 3x3, and I think the 3x3 patches are sold for around $7 or $8. So the benefit is certainly there for commercial tying, absolutely, to go with the bigger pieces. And they I've got another one in there. It's a really nice dark colored one. I think it's a bull elk, and the hair is considerably darker, but for this pattern I like the lighter stuff. And for the body on this one, this is a Wapsi product. It's the Awesome Possum dubbing. You could use whatever you wanted. I like the natural colors on these.
A possum dub's real nice.
It is, I must say, it's a nice product, a really nice product. And either a dubbing loop, or you can just stick it on with the wax, whichever you prefer. And we'll load that up there, right about to there. All right. And I'm going to use that same hackle that I used for the Come by Chance screen machine. For the body. And the same thing as before. I like to have it palmar towards the back. And then I'll chase that with the thread. Oops. There we go. There we go. And for the wing, the same elk body patch. You can put a different colored wing in if you're adventurous, but I like to keep the body of these natural and then put a little brighter color on the head. I find it gives the trout something to target in on. Would this be a popular style over across the pond, Derek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Works a treat a Dracot.
I've
chase it and chase it and chase it.
Yeah. There we go. And say for the head of these, I like to use something with a little more, that's a little brighter. So I'm going to use an orange sparkle dove on the head. And I'm going to collar it with grizzly. There we go. That's a nice one.
You can see the sparkle in that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's UV reflective as well. And I think that's a dubbing that I got from Shore. I took it out of the package and put it in the dubbing dispenser, but I think that's a Shore brand package.
Handy little tip that, chasing it with a thread.
Yeah, as long as the thread is a smaller diameter, you can get away with it. If you were to try and chase that with something heavier, you'd end up pushing a lot of the hackle fibers down. But the small diameter stuff works real well. I'll finish that with that. And there we go.
Nice, yeah, that's good.
Float all day, that.
Yeah. Again, it's one that I don't tie enough of it. I get so bloody busy with Atlantic salmon flies that when I get the opportunity to hop on for an evening and tie with you guys or with somebody else, it's nice to tie something different. I must say, I spent, I don't know how many hours I was at the vise today, but in production, I'm just doing all bodies now. I don't typically tie start to finish. I'll do them in segments. So it's nice to sit down and realize that I still remember how to tie a whole fly.
What are you doing? 50 a day?
I got 76 done so far today.
Yeah.
I try and hover around at least 30 or 40 bodies every day. I'm lucky enough that the job that I work at on night shift, I can sneak the vise in and kind of poke away at my desk and tie there as well. I don't push it too far. I certainly wouldn't go into work and start trimming deer here and have that flying all over the place. But the like a regular body or something like that, I can certainly take to work and I can, as long as I'm not tapping a hair stacker or making too much of a mess, I can get away with it.
I was going to say all the deer are all over the floor is going to be a giveaway.
Oh yeah. When the boss comes in the morning after, and he's hovering around the garbage can, as long as it's in the garbage can. But the all these little deer hair clippings, that would be if I got those down in amongst the keys of the keyboard, I'd probably have to answer a couple different difficult questions.
Interesting that you put the dubbing on first and then tied in the hackle, rather than tie the hackle in and then put the dubbing on and then wind the hackle.
Yeah, and again, it's just something that I've got into for durability purposes. It certainly makes the life of the fly a bit longer. Like I was saying with the with this come by chance screen machine, where there's nothing really on the body of this fly for the stem of the hackle to kind of be protected by. Doesn't matter how pretty the fly is. If that hackle unwinds after one fish, I'm going to end up with an upset customer. So reinforcing that with the thread, that's a multi-fish fly. Now, I mean, it might bust to pieces on the first one, but at least I can say, well, I've taken the extra step to make sure that it didn't. And then the same thing with trout flies as well. I'll try and tie them as durable as I can. And, you know, I like to have half decent reviews. And if they crack the hook off on a rock, that's one thing. But if it falls apart when they're fishing it, then that's kind of on me. So that extra little step, certainly, it's not enough extra time that it makes it not worthwhile, but it certainly keeps the customers happy.
Thank you.
So
You don't rib with wire then, Jamie?
what's that?
You don't rib with wire or tinsels anytime?
We're not allowed to use wire ribbing here for Atlantic salmon. That would be considered weight on the fly. You could rib with I didn't take any out with me because I don't have a pattern here that I'm going to tie with it, but you could use like an oval French. That would be fine on that. There's one that I tied, it's on my Instagram, I can't remember the name of it now. Cola Killer. It's a very similar style fly to the come by chain screen machine, and it is ribbed with French up through the body hackle. Again, for trout, you can weight flies here for trout. So I could have ribbed this with wire, and if I was to do that, I wouldn't chase the hackle with the thread. I'd wind the hackle on the same way, but I would have had my wire tied in, and then kind of manipulate the wire up through the body hackle, and then that would do the exact same job as the thread.
Yeah.
Good point. So this next one, this is a Marabou style streamer, not real common here in Newfoundland, but it is catching on, and I got into tying them. I had a customer of mine that was going to, I want to say, New Brunswick to fish. And these are very popular for fall salmon in that neck of the woods, and in all kinds of colors. Like I got purple, orange, and white there to tie in this one. This one here is peach and pink with a hot pink head. There's another one, I think it's called a popsicle. A friend of mine done a video of one, a green slime. And it's like almost like a chartreuse green color. And they're really, really fishy in the water. Like the Marabou, it almost turns like it's liquid in the water. And the fall salmon, when they're in spawning mode, they get really aggressive towards these. So they'll take a snap at these pretty readily. The other thing here in Newfoundland, we're not allowed to use double or treble hooks for Atlantic salmon. They got to be all on single hooks. In Quebec, you're still allowed to use doubles in Quebec, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but it might be New Brunswick that you're still allowed to use doubles in certain sections of river. But here on the island, it's all on single hooks. This one is on a regular up-eye partridge M2 heavy. You could tie them on any streamer hook. Carrie Stevens would be a great hook for this. But I'm going to tie this one on a size 1. But most requests that I've gotten for these are on big hooks. I don't know what the reasoning is behind that, but for the most part, they want them big, something for the fish to really target in on. So for this one, I'm going to use the M2 in a size 1. I've tied these on a couple of different platforms. The CS42 bomber hook is another good platform for this particular fly, but that's a hell of a lot bigger than the last hook I had in the vise.
You can see that.
Yeah, you should be able to see that one. Now, all right. So again, with this one, it's not a lot of material that goes into making this fly. I'll start with uni underbody, and it's just to lay something down to put a little bit of bulk to the fly, because I'm going to put mylar over top of this. And I could have had this on a bobbin to make it a little faster, but so I'm right back to the barb with the underbody. And I'm just going to make one pass with this. I don't need to bulk the body up too much. And these are overlapping wraps just to keep the body nice and consistent. Lay that aside. And for the body, I'm just going to use uni mylar. Gold one side, silver the other. I'm going to make 2 passes, one down, one back. And these are touching wraps. I'm not overlapping this pass. And now I'll overlap. You could put a rib on this fly to protect the mylar, but it's not entirely necessary. So I never came all the way. So the return ends here, and I ended off back here with the mylar, and I'll show you why there now. So that marabou, where it gets so fluid when it's in the water, it can get fouled around the hook point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to this sparkle dub, and I'm going to put a dubbing ball right here. And the dubbing ball, the major purpose of it is to push that marabou out when it's being pulled through the water. It keeps it up and away from the hook point. So what have I got there? I've got white and orange and purple. I'll use a purple. There we go. And this is going to be a generous amount that I'm going to put on here. And you don't need to be really, really particular with this because it's going to be protected by the marabou. And like I said, the main purpose of this is to push that marabou up and away from the hook point.
That's going to help the marabou pulse as well, isn't it? When you're drawing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely will. Yeah. There we go. That looks like a ball. And for the marabou, on a big hook like this, you want to use the longer stuff. Typically a little longer feather. So this is the 6-inch variety. So I'm just looking for one now that's nice and formed all the way down through. So we're going to put this on similar to if I was tying a collar on a casaboon. And as you're wrapping, you want to get all the hackle fibers over on one side, just so you don't get them trapped underneath. I don't know if the camera is picking it up there, but you can already see very clearly how that dubbing ball is pushing pushing the fibers.
Could you wrap them both at once? If you were doing
No,
it two colors,
no.
one over the top.
This stuff can be so finicky to work with. I think if I was to wrap multiple colors together, I'd really bugger that up.
Is that a technical term?
Certainly an international term.
It is, yeah. There we go. So that's the base of it. That'll be our first layer, and then the next one is it's showing up like it looks like it's a really hot orange color there in the camera, but it's just a standard orange. Ooh, I got marabou in my mouth now. And see if we can get this around there. And when I'm sending these out, they can get all tangled up together if you don't protect them. So when I ship these out, when I put them in the mailboxes or mailer boxes, I've got some like cardboard straws, and I'll snip the straw about the body length, and I can slide that down over the fly. And that way, when the customer opens up the box, he's not, he or she isn't.
I've done that with tube flies.
Yeah, yeah, it works well, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I can't find my dubbing brush, so I raided our stocking stuffers and took a brand new toothbrush out.
It's your wife's really, isn't it?
She's away on she's away on holidays.
Yeah, that's
So
what. Yeah.
she's far enough away now that I'm not in any danger.
So she plays back this video.
Yeah.
Oh well, then I'm in for it.
Bye bye, Jamie. Rest in peace.
Yeah. And I'm gonna put purple on the outside of this one. Yeah, if I'm not around next Thursday and I'm nursing a bloody nose or a black eye, you'll know why.
Just don't blame Derek.
I got broad shoulders.
So have I. And I'm terrified of my wife.
Out of your wife.
All right.
Would you normally put 3 different colors on?
No, not always. Definitely 2. One of my friends, I mentioned him earlier, Chris. The way he ties this fly, he uses a craft fur underneath, like this kind of material here.
Yeah.
So what he'll do, he'll reverse tie a couple of wraps or a couple of bunches of that, and then push the craft fur back over the dubbing ball as well. And that craft fur, it's a very attractive material, and it's very durable as well. But it gives the fly a little more bulk as well. This particular one with 3 colors, this was one that was requested by a customer, and they didn't. I showed them the craft fur method that Chris did, but they wanted to make sure that when the fly was wet, that the mylar underneath was visible. And where the craft fur is such a thick material, he thought that it would cover up the mylar. So that's another way to tie this particular fly. But in regards of color combinations, definitely 2 color combinations on these flies.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please, son.
You need to have the Marabou of equal size for each colour.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. You could use, you could start off with 6-inch and then go to 4-inch, and it would give the tail of the fly more of a taper though. That's that would actually be, I might do that for another one actually.
You ever cut the Marabou off the stalk and put it on that way? Or do you always?
I have not. I haven't.
You mean in a dubbing loop, Neil?
No,
What's
like
that?
you normally do for wings and stuff, where you just cut it off the stalk and just use it that way, but you can spin it.
Oh, okay. No, that's not a technique that I've used.
It was an accidental thing. I was tying a wing and it slipped round, almost like when you're doing the deer hair,
Oh, okay.
and then spun itself right around the hook.
Well. All right. So I'm going to finish that off there, and now I'm going to take my wife's toothbrush and Brush that back.
You're dead anyway, so you may as well use it.
And now I'm going to finish that off with just some glow bright in orange on the head. And there we go.
Fire orange a lot.
Yeah, yeah. These patterns, I find the brighter colors are they're certainly what's more requested than like the earthy tones.
Is the water that you're fishing clear, or is it a bit discolored?
It can vary, and it can vary in very short geographical distances. Here locally, like close by, I say close by, within about an hour of where I live, there's one particular river and the water is absolutely gin clear. And it's always gin clear. It doesn't matter if we have a big flood of rain, whatever it is, that particular system runs very clear. And within probably 12 kilometers, there's another river. The water has always got a tannin to it. And when we have a big flood of rain, it's like looking down through a cup of coffee.
Right.
I'm really not familiar with the New Brunswick rivers where I get the requests for these flies to go. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what sort of water conditions they would have in those rivers.
I was just thinking the colours that you're putting on are really bright.
Yeah.
Coloured water, peaty water or something.
Yeah.
I could go in after the flash.
Yeah, and it likely is.
Jamie, I when I was in Alaska years and years ago, just at a university, we used a lot of really bright Marabou streamers and things, like you said, the popsicle and others.
Yeah.
And they were gin clear, like you can imagine. A lot of glacial stuff up there, a lot of runoff. But
Yeah.
they just happened to hit bright colors, right? You couldn't intrigue them with something that was earth tones, tans, browns,
Right.
olives. But boy, they would smoke bright purple over pink and purple over orange and
Yeah.
cream with purple or cream with orange, sometimes chartreuse with one of the others. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and that stuff was all very clear. You could see
Right,
10
yeah.
feet if you had that kind of depth. Yeah. So I
Very
made
good.
just the kind of fish.
What's it called?
So there we
again,
have that
Jamie?
one.
What's it called again, Jamie?
Just a Marabou streamer.
Yeah.
That's a cracking purple color. That's almost like UV torch
Yeah.
blue,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I tie a
Yeah,
lot of those,
the,
Jamie, for steelhead, Lake Erie and Lake Michigan steelhead with a little tungsten bead. I
Oh,
tie
yeah.
a lot of just simple Marabou streamers. Yeah, usually a cream body with a collar or a black body with a bright collar. And
Okay.
in tainted water, they work really good.
Okay. And is for that area, would you fish a stinger hook off of that, or just the single hook?
Single, and I tie them smaller as well. I tie them down probably to, maybe even sixes.
Oh, okay.
Sixes and fours. I have a short shank, heavy gauge mustad I tie. I can't remember the number of it anymore, but tie that with a little bit of weight. Sometimes weight in the body, sometimes a bead head, tungsten
Okay.
or otherwise. And then
Yeah.
when the water's the right conditions, off color usually, off in green,
Right.
rising or falling off in green, they'll hit that.
Do you find that these are more productive in fall than in summer season?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Now let's switch gears again. I got that great big fly tie. I'll see if I can make a fool of a smaller one now. So this is one I seen Barry Ord Clark tie it online, and when I went to the Yukon last year, I took some with me. A Heinz 57. And in the area where I was fly fishing for grayling, it's in a small community where 90% of the residents are First Nations, and fly fishing isn't a style of fishing that is real common in their area. They're meat fishers, and they're there to catch fish to eat. It's what they're fishing for. The idea of catch and release is not really supported there. Yeah. So I showed up with a fly rod, and we're fishing off of a walk bridge that spans a section of river between two really large lakes. And these guys are chucking little spinners over the side, like a blue fox type spinner on an open face spinning reel, and they're taking the occasional fish, and there's some lake trout mixed in, and they're getting some smaller lake trout, 4 or 5, 6 pounds. And so I find my spot, and I immediately start fishing these, and I mean every single cast. I was fishing over probably, there was thousands, absolutely thousands of grayling there. This river was probably 60 meters wide, and from bank to bank, the whole length in between these two lakes, it was absolutely stacked with grayling all down through the water column. They were everywhere. It was early October, and I don't know if they were pre-spawn or post-spawn. I'm not sure what the spawning cycle is on grayling in the Yukon. But they were, and I mean voraciously. You'd put this on the water, and I don't know if it imitates something up there, or if it's just because it's something that they haven't seen. But if I could get this to float 10 feet without a fish rising, it was amazing. So I'm hooking these fish, and I'm reeling them in, and I'm putting them back in the water. And this guy comes over and he says, "What the hell are you doing? Like, aren't you going to eat these fish?" So I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I'd take a couple." And he said, "Like, we've been here all day, and we only got 4 or 5 fish. Will you catch some for us?" So I started fishing, and I literally probably hooked 300 grayling in an afternoon on these particular flies. I went back the next day and moved further away from these people, because I didn't want to go down and slaughter another bunch of grayling. So I wanted to have a bit of fun and get clear of the crowd. And the same thing, it was fish after fish after fish. I often say I'd like to be in a position where I could say I was tired of hooking fish, and I didn't quite get there, but I was pretty close. It was the closest I've ever come. So for this one, I'm using a Sprite 2160. This is a size 8, and I found size 8 was really productive up there. 8s and 10s. I didn't have to go real small with flies for those fish, just because they were so aggressive. They were voracious eaters. The thread I'm using for this one, I got the label tore off it, so I don't exactly know what it is. I know it's not the sheer stuff. It might be a uni in size 12. My scissors. So again, a real simple pattern. Oh, the thread is broken. I'm gonna have to tie this one, but if I can get that back on there. I'm down to the last bit of thread on this spool, and it's after winding over itself. So the grayling that you guys have overseas, they're not the same species that we have here in Canada. Is that correct?
No, yours are bigger.
They're bigger here, are they?
A lot bigger.
All right, I'm back in business. So again, a really simple fly, but for those fish, you just don't need to, spend a hell of a lot of time putting together something to offer them. So I'm just building up the body with some red thread there. And that's going to be the tag end. And then for the body of the fly, you can use peacock herl. I like the peacock eyes. I find that with the peacock eyes, you just get a little better quality, better quality of the fiber. And I'll take a couple of these. And I'm tying two in together just to have good form there on the body. And then for the body hackle, I'm going to use that same grizzly that I used before. There we go. And that red thread is down right into the to the peacock, and you can't see that down on the body of the fly there at all. And for the wing of this one, the front wing, it's just the black CDC. You could use brown. Brown would work really well as well, I bet. I followed the black color. And that's all that's to that one. Again, another really quick, really productive fly that I've got a whole row of them in my kit. And
how many CDC fibers did you use?
I just used the one.
One.
Yeah. The hook is light enough that it's enough to keep the fly up in the column. I don't think I added a float when I was fishing these before. But the wire on the hook is fine enough that that'll keep it up in the column. And that's that one. again, a real quick, real easy tie.
Is
Another
it
great
designed to
one
float
for-
or is it designed to sit under?
I think it's kind of marketed as a dry fly, but when I was fishing them, it was right at the surface. A little bit subsurface. The first bit of the drift, it would be directly on the surface. Like I say, those fish were not at all fussy. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing to see those fish attack whatever it was I was putting in front of them. Again, bead heads. I fished some bead heads up there. They wouldn't go for bigger flies, and I think it was just because they're a predatory fish, but they're not as predatory as say a brown trout or a lake trout. But like size 8, size 10, whatever I was putting in front of them, small dry flies, the bead heads, the scuds, everything that I had tied here locally for sea trout, those fish took. And like I say, to go down on that walk bridge where the locals were, and I mean they were hooking fish, but certainly not to the amount that I was here with the fly rod.
What was the weight of the grayling, Jamie?
Sorry, say again.
What was the weight of the grayling? How big were they?
They weren't real big compared to the trout, obviously. The biggest one that I had was probably 3 pounds, and that was the absolute largest. The average run was somewhere between 16 to 20 inches, somewhere around there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are
What was that
some
last
really.
fly called?
Sorry, dear.
What was that last fly called, please?
Heinz 50.
57.
A Heinz 57.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, real fun to fish. Like I say, I haven't quite been to the point where I was tired of hooking fish, but I was almost there that day. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but that was as close as I've got in my career. So the last one that I'm going to do tonight is a bait fish imitator. I've used these for sea trout when they are still in the salt water. And I've had herring really aggressively strike at these as well. It's a lot larger fly than I'm typically used to tying. I don't tie a lot of them. Black, and this is like a peach kind of color. It looks almost orange there in the photo, but I think it's just because of the LED lamp. The color is actually a peach color. Again, it's not a difficult fly to tie, and it's another really good producing fly. I've tried these with a stinger hook behind it, and I find when it's fishing, a lot of these fibers can get wound around the stinger hook. So I opted out of it and just kept tying them on a bigger saltwater predator hook. So for that one, the Sprite 1052 in size 1/0 is the standard size that I like using for those. But I've tied them down to a size 6, and then you just got to coordinate the size of the head and the size of the eyes to match the size of the hook that you're going to be using. So these are a relatively short shank hook, and they're a straight eye as opposed to like a typical streamer where the eye is tipped down. Makes it a lot easier for slipping the fish head over the fish mask over the head of the fly. So on a big stout fly like this, I'm using heavier thread. I'm going to tie this one start to finish with the 140. So my first step with that one is my dubbing. Oh, here it is. So this is just an olive ice dubbing. This is another one, like the color variations in these is just so widely varied. As long as it tends to imitate a small bait fish, I find that the big predatory fish, they're not real finicky. I'll brush that out a little bit. There we go. And now for the trap fur, I'm going to use a couple of different colors. First color is like a fluorescent, almost like a fluorescent chartreuse. And this stuff, it's a synthetic material, but it lasts well, and it's on a big enough patch that you get a heck of a lot of flies per patch. So this is another one that, like, I could reverse tie, and then when I push the fish mask on, it'll push the hair over. It's not a style that I've done a lot of, so I tend to the more traditional. So put one on the top and then one on the bottom.
Is that marketed under polar fiber?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the name of the company is called Just Add H2O.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A packet's about just under £6 here.
Oh wow. I think well, I better not speak out of turn. That's it. It sounds high for what our local shop is selling it for here. I'm just kind of doing the conversion in my head, and it's like 1.69, I believe.
Oh, no idea.
You paying 25 cents or something, Jamie? Are you?
Yeah. There we go. So now this stuff forward there, I'll snip all that off. And now I'm going to add a little bit of flash. This is a loop product. It's like an angel hair. The blend. So within this, there's several different colors in it. There's like a gold, a pearl, a green, and a blue all in together. For anyone that's tying like bigger musky flies, predator type flies, this would be a pretty keen product to add into those.
Never knew Luke did fly tie material.
Yeah, they don't do a lot. They've got a line of thread, and the thread is fantastic. I've got a little bit of it. I don't have any of the smaller diameter stuff. And they have a line of salmon double hooks and some other product like angel hair and this flash. Not sure what else they got beyond that. My local store, Atlantic Rivers, the owner of Loop essentially owns that shop, and they do have the thread, this stuff, and some of their salmon double hooks at that place.
So I've got some rods and reels of Loop, but didn't know they had any fly time material.
Yeah. Now this stuff, like, it's close to 10 inches long. So when I want that right on the top there, as I'm tying this in, you can trim it down afterwards, but I just trim this down as I'm going. There we go. And this particular fly, using your wife's toothbrush is really handy to keep the fly.
She's definitely going to notice that when she comes back.
Oh, Derek, she is going to skin me.
Can we blackmail you first?
Yeah, so this is the packaging that it's in.
Yeah, a friend of mine's just bought some. He's a bloke who knows fish is breading in Wales. Swears by it.
Oh, it's great. It's a really, really nice product, I must say. It's really nice. And I'm going to layer the colors there. Do you guys do much sea fishing over that way?
Not a lot.
I haven't
No.
done any for years.
No?
Had some nice pollock on a fly rod.
Yeah?
Ruined the line.
There we go. And we'll snip the excess off.
Plenty of sparkle in it.
Yeah. And now it's just a wash, rinse, repeat till we get right up to the head of the fly there.
Would you ever think of putting a plastic bead on?
The head of this fly,
Uh-huh.
I use the fish mask
All
on
right.
the head. These are plastic. You certainly could put something else on to get it down in the column, but I find that it fishes pretty well this particular way. But yeah, a plastic bead, or you could put some weight on the body, whatever you fancy.
I think Pete made instead of having a dubbing ball there, to have a bead there, a plastic bead or rubber bead.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Alois uses them and he cuts them in half so that the curved part half is facing backwards and the flat part is at the front, so it bulks it up.
Okay, yeah.
You push your materials against it and it just bulks it up.
Right, yeah, that would actually, yeah, that actually might be a better way to do it than using the dubbing ball. And Alois ties an absolutely beautiful bait fish fly. He's very keen at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's not a pattern that we use really a lot here. I've probably only put out 100 of these in the last 2 years. But the yeah, I'm gonna reach out to Alois and see what he uses for a bead for the body, and give that a try.
You got stuff flying everywhere.
Oh, I've got some mess made here, Derek.
He can be brave when his wife's not there.
Oh, I'm the boss when she's not here. Don't you worry.
Oh, that's the dog.
They're over there. The two dogs are on the couch. I guarantee you they're listening to what I'm saying. They'll tell her when she comes back. And I'll use another little bit of flash on this piece.
I've just looked on the Loop UK website. They don't do any fly tie materials.
It's nothing showing there.
No.
Neil, I'll jump in there. They're about to launch them.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, very well. There's Daryl. How are you, Daryl?
All right, Jimmy. Twin Peaks, I think, are going to be handling it. Yeah, I'm not sure who was asking. Neil, was it?
Yeah.
Twin Peaks up in Scotland are going to be handling all the Loop fly tie material. They've had it
Oh,
for a
very
while,
good.
had it in stock. They've just not done anything with it.
That's David, isn't it?
The two brothers.
David Murray.
What do they call them? Alistair and hold on, I'll get them up. Hold on.
Angus Angley.
I say David Murray's the guy I've always had contact with a couple of rods I bought from him.
William and
It's
Alistair.
funny that there's some differences between the UK Loop site and the Canadian one. There's some accessory stuff on the UK site that it's not listed on the Canadian one.
I think that the Loop Pro shop is Twin Peaks with William and Alistair Peak, and I think that nearly all of the Loop fly time material is going to be handled via that shop. At least that was what I heard last week.
Oh, right. Okay. That'll be handy.
I'd probably January. Maybe.
Okay. Cheers.
It'll probably be
Maybe
a BFFI then.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, I think yes. They're actually the lads are going fishing to Chile sometime in January, so whether they'll be back or not. But they are getting ready to put it all on the website, and as I say, they've had it for months. They've just not done anything with it.
I hope I haven't ruined the surprise. All right, so I've got all the polar fiber on that I'm gonna. Gee, what a mess! All the polar fiber that I'm gonna put on, I've got on now. I'm gonna finish it off with a little bit of dubbing just behind where I'm gonna put that fish mask on. All right.
Fiber on there to make a carpet.
Oh my God. I'll extend the meeting and I'll put a GoPro on. You guys can watch me sweep the floor after. That'll be fun.
Could you also give one of it when your wife comes home?
I got to make sure I've got it done long before that.
I bet you'll miss something.
Oh, you can count on it. Now for the again for the head, I'm just using these fish masks. This is a size 5. Size 5 fits nicely on that 1/0 hook. I've got them down to a size 9 as well for some smaller stuff. And what I'll do, I could very well just glue this on, and it would be quite fine. It would never come off. I'll put some glue down underneath, and I haven't cut my thread off yet. So cinch that on without gluing my finger to the hook. And then I'll just pull the thread underneath, and then just kind of build up a little bit of a thread dam there in front. So now that will never slip off down over the eye of that hook. Now, just this card of eyes. Again, depending on what size fly I'm tying, I'll have different sizes for the eyes. These are self-adhesive. But what I'll do, I'm going to put some UV resin over top, just to make sure that I've got lots there, lots of protection. And you don't have to go overboard with the UV.
That's a handy little tube.
Yeah, you can get it in. This is the bigger one. There's 118 mils in that one. I tend to use enough UV that I can justify having more of it. I find the smaller ones, just where I use it on the heads of some of my salmon flies, it just doesn't last, so I buy it in the bigger quantity. Now that's still a little tacky, and I find no matter how long I hit that with the torch, it still kind of feels a little slimy. So what I do with these, I'll put these on a card and I'll stick them up in my window, and just let the sun finish them off. And
laser pen will cure that though.
What's that?
A laser pen will cure that. Rock hard.
The laser does a little better job, does it?
Yeah, a lot.
I'll have to put that on my Christmas list.
Oh, they're only a couple of quid from China.
Adam will send you one, won't you?
Yeah,
There we go.
I got you.
Your wife.
And now I'll just trim off whatever was left with those longer fibers. There we have it.
Nice. That is nice.
Beautiful.
And that'll fish all day long.
Sounds like easier to tie than that Saldo Mac thing I had to tie for the gold award. The hideous fly to tie. Who is it?
Nick Gin.
Big gin.
Well, there we go.
Excellent. Brilliant, mate. Thank you very much.
No,
You see,
I'm very glad to be asked to be tying and be chatting with you guys. It's always good fun. I wish I had more time on Thursdays to see everybody else. I tend to when I'm up early in the mornings before I head into work and I'm spending some time at the Vice, I'll pop one of the meetings on and I'll get zoned out altogether and I'll think that it's all still live. Try and ask a question.
That was brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks,
Very good.
Cheers, Jamie.
Very good.
I'm very glad to be part of it. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Did you say that that grayling fly was a Barry or Clark tie?
I seen Barry Lord Clark. He does have a video up on his YouTube channel of the Heinz 57, and that's where I seen it. I think I was just searching grayling flies, and that was one of the patterns that popped up. Yeah, I would suspect that Barry's is a lot neater than mine.
When was he catch his fish?
Exactly. Yeah. The ultimate decider of how well your pattern is the one that you're trying to sting the nose of. Pretty flies catch fishermen.
True.
Yeah.
Thanks again for tonight, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
My absolute
Bye-bye.
pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Cheers, Jamie.
Oh,
Talk soon.
Happy
Take care.
holidays.
You
That's
as well.
If you can see us,
Yep.
that's that fly.
Oh yeah.
But,
Very nice.
yeah, what a pain in the ass to tie.
What did you use the same kind of material for the wing of that, like polar fiber?
It's got crystal flash, polar flash, and it's got 3 cock feathers either side, then the chevron on top of that, and then the body's built up, and you've got 3 types of chenille on the head, and then
Oh my god.
then the eye.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's got to wait for somebody from the society or the guild to find out where I'm going to send them to get inspected.
Oh, very well.
Yeah, the lad
That sounds like an
that
expensive fly to
normally
tie.
does it. The lad that normally does it, he's gone and passed away, isn't he?
Yeah, David Taylor. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bless him.
thing.
Oh geez.
Somebody else
Yep.
is standing for him.
yeah, I hope so.
I do know that Chris Reeves collected all the award entrants from Dave's house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
bless him. He did put an email out to say he was snowed under and he would catch up as soon as he could.
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, I mean, he was main organizer at the Way Valley branch, and latterly, the last 3 or 4 months, he got very behind with all sorts of stuff. He obviously wasn't very well, but he didn't let on to anybody, even his sister.
Very good.
Bless him.
Shame, innit?
Yeah.
It is. It's left us with a bit of a problem.
Yeah. There we go.
Once again, thanks, Jamie.
Cheers, Jamie. Thank you.
And if we don't
Yeah.
see you now, we'll see you after Christmas.
You can count on it. I'll take a look at the schedule when it gets posted in January, and I'll be sure to pick up another couple of nights.
Magic. Cheers.
Wonderful.
Neil,
Yeah.
Neil, just a quick comment. The on the FDG website, it's still got Dave's address